This video is sponsored by EcoFlow, and listen up because I'm going to tell you how you can possibly win a River Mini. So today what I'm going to talk about is the Hyperlapse mode on the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Now, we just got an update for the Mini 3 Pro, and it's a great update that added a lot of cool things that people were looking for. Focus tracking in vertical mode, quick shots in vertical mode. They improved some other things, like raw photos with it. They improved connectivity when you're, as far as transmission strength and things like that. But one thing that they added was they improved the hyperlapse mode on the Mini 3 Pro by improving the stability of the drone when it's doing a hyperlapse, and then improving the dynamic range of it. And so I'm going to check that out today. I'm going to let you guys know what I think. But mostly what I want to do is give you a tutorial on how to do a hyperlapse with the Mini 3 Pro. So a lot of you just got this drone. This is your first drone ever, and you like watching hyperlapses, and so I'm just going to give you a tutorial on the 4 different ways that you can get a hyperlapse. So let's get right into it and see if you can get more enjoyment out of your Mini 3 Pro. Hi everyone, welcome to 51 Drones. My name is Russ. Thank you for stopping by. The Mini 3 Pro is an awesome drone. It's been out for about 60 days now. I think tomorrow or maybe the next day it's been 60 days. And they've been really improving it, adding some firmware updates. We had a massive firmware update right away. We had another one last week. And DJI is really putting a lot of resources into this drone because I really think it is one of the most popular drones of all time. And there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. One of my favorite things to do with a drone is hyperlapse. But with the Mini 3 Pro, none of my hyperlapses have been, I shouldn't say none, some of them have turned out okay. But for the most part, most of my hyperlapses have come out just really jittery and the drone's shifting all over the place, and so they're not even usable. And so when they came out with this update and I saw that they had that improved stability on hyperlapse, I was really excited because I really like to do hyperlapse. I know it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't like to use hyperlapse. It's just kind of a fluffy thing, but I think it's great, and I think it's something fun to do, especially for beginners. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take you through this tutorial right away on how to do a hyperlapse. And then after that, we'll come back and talk about any improvements that this update made. But first of all, let's talk about today's sponsor, EcoFlow. Amazon Prime Day is upon us, and EcoFlow uses Prime Day to run their most massive discounts of the year. Now, EcoFlow is the industry leader in portable power stations, and they have a wide variety of products for every use case that you can think of. Power companies all over the US have stated that this year is going to be a challenging year for the power grid. So there are going to be more brownouts and rolling blackouts than ever before. We've already seen it in California and Texas. And one of the best ways to keep your family safe is to be prepared with a solar generator from EcoFlow. From something as portable and compact as the River Mini to a power station as massive as the Delta Max, you can rest easy knowing that you can keep the lights on, the refrigerator and the freezer running, your septic tank pumping, and keep you cool on those hot nights or warm on those cold nights. There are links in the video description to see all of these great specials going on right now, and they are for a very limited time. Plus, EcoFlow is also offering an extra 5% to all 51 Drones viewers during this event. And finally, if you want a chance to win your very own EcoFlow River Mini, it's actually really simple. In the video description down below, I've created a list. It's an Amazon link. It has all of my favorite tech products of all time: drones, cameras, lighting, audio, all sorts of my favorite stuff. Plus, I've included some of the best Amazon Prime Day deals that I could find. Browse that list and then come back to this video and comment what is your favorite thing on that list. You don't have to buy anything, just check it out, come back here and comment. On July 15th of 2022, I'll choose a random comment, and that person will have a River Mini shipped to them by EcoFlow. And just a reminder, you guys, I'll never ask you to contact me on WhatsApp or Telegram or anything like that. If you get a reply to your comment from me, make sure that there's a verified check mark next to my name. All right, let's get to the hyperlapse tutorial. So to get into the hyperlapse mode, you just click on the camera settings right over here, and you scroll down, and right there it says hyperlapse. Go ahead and click on that, and then you'll see on the left hand side there you have free mode, circle mode, course lock, and waypoint. So first, just a brief discussion about free mode. I don't use free mode very much. I have used it when I want to do like a cloud time lapse and I just want the drone to sit still. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you are going to use that mode and there's any kind of wind, the hyperlapse is not going to turn out very good, unless you do some editing afterwards with warp stabilizer or something like that. But for the most part, I don't use free. Basically, you can set free mode and then you can move the drone as it's taking the time lapse in whichever direction that you want. But in my opinion, there's really no need to do that because you have the other three modes, the circle, the course lock, and the waypoint. So for free mode, I honestly don't recommend it. Now let's go into the next one, which is circle mode. And basically the drone is going to make a circle around a subject that you choose, and it's going to do it for the prescribed amount of time. So for circle mode, you're just going to click on circle, and then it asks you to select the subject. So you're going to swipe on the screen, and I'm just going to use this construction equipment right here. And there it puts a box around there to let you know that that is the subject that it's going to rotate around. It's going to keep the same distance from that subject as long as you don't touch the sticks at all. Then for the settings right down here, we're going to go 2-second interval. That's the fastest that you can choose for the Mini 3 Pro. I'm just going to do a 3-second time lapse today just to keep it shorter. And then this right here is the most important thing, speed. The default is 1.1, but I'm going to put it up to 2.9 or about 3 miles per hour. And then you're going to choose the direction by tapping on it, clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm going to go clockwise today. So there you can see it's going to take about 2.5 minutes and it's going to take 75 photos. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the record button and it starts running through the mission. Now I'm going to time lapse through this, and here is what the final results look like of a circle time lapse on the Mini 3 Pro. Another thing that I should mention is one thing that this update I've noticed helped with a lot on the circle mode there is that it does keep the subject in the middle of the frame. Before this most recent update for the Mini 3 Pro, it would sometimes lose that subject and it would just kind of get off track. So that is definitely improved. Now the next one that I'm going to show you is the course lock mode. And this is one that I like to use quite a bit. And what this does is you're going to basically lock the drone into a certain direction. So first thing you need to do is pick the direction that you want the drone to travel. So we're going to go right, let's go about right here. And then you're going to lock this direction. So we're going to click on this little paddle lock right here. And it's going to turn orange, and that tells you that the drone's going to travel in this direction. And you can double check this by clicking on the map in the lower left-hand corner. See that green line right there? Okay, so you know the drone's going to travel in that direction. So we want the drone to go at a 90-degree angle. So just like that, maybe we'll turn it just a little bit this way. And so we know that drone's going to travel in that green line direction right there. Settings are going to be the same. We're going to do 2 seconds, intervals 3 seconds for length, and then 2.9. Normally I do like an 8-second, but I just wanted to keep this a little bit quicker here. Double check all of our camera settings. Looks like we're just a little bit overexposed, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit the shutter button. And again, I'm going to fast forward through this. And right here is the final result of a course lock hyperlapse with the Mini 3 Pro. The last one I'm going to show you is the waypoint. Now this is the most interesting one because it allows you to be as creative as you want with hyperlapse. And so what you're basically doing here is you're setting waypoints. You're going to set certain points in the airspace that you're going to have the drone travel. You're also going to set the camera angle and the yaw of the drone. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our first waypoint. We're going to start from this location right here. We're going to click on this plus, and this is where the drone is going to start from. Actually, we might run it backwards. I'll show you how to do that. Then what we're going to do, we're just going to move the drone over a little bit. Let's turn it a little bit like that. And I think we'll go up in altitude, and we'll put the camera down as well. We're going to click on the plus. That's going to add another waypoint. And then we'll go a little bit more, and let's go up a little bit higher, and then point the camera down even a little bit more. Hit the waypoint. And finally, let's do one more. But this time we're going to go down and put the camera up to about right there. Okay, so there we have 4 waypoints, and I'm going to click on the 3 little dots. We're going to set our direction. We can go normal, which means the drone will go back to its first location, or we can run it in reverse. And I think we'll just run it in reverse just to save time. We're going to do 2-second intervals again, and it's going to take at least 5 seconds to run this this hyperlapse. Click on the check mark. Everything looks good, and we're just going to hit the record. and then it's going to run through the sequence in reverse order. So it's going to head to each of those waypoints. Let's see if I can bring this up here. So you see the waypoints right there on the map. It's going to head to each of these waypoints, and it's going to do that smoothly. It's going to move into position. It's going to change the camera angle. And so that's pretty cool. And again, I'm just going to fast forward through this, and here is the final result of a waypoint hyperlapse mission with the Mini 3 Pro. So has this latest update improved the hyperlapse quality out of the Mini 3 Pro? So what I've noticed, I flew about 10, probably a dozen hyperlapse the last 2 days. And what I've noticed is this: the stability is a little bit better, especially like when you're doing a course lock and you're going straight forwards or backwards. The circle mode stability is amazing. Waypoints mode, the stability is amazing. But if you're doing any kind of lateral movement with the Mini 3 Pro on a hyperlapse and there's any kind of wind, it's still shaky, it's still kind of jerky. It doesn't look great yet. And I just think no matter how they change the algorithm, it's still always going to be a challenge because it's such a light drone. Now there's a couple of things that I did discover that makes your hyperlapse much better with the Mini 3 Pro. So normally when I do a hyperlapse, I like to have my speed set very slow. Like I'll set it to like 1 mile per hour or slower. You can't do that with the Mini 3 Pro. You have to have it like 2.5 or 3 or even 3.5 miles per hour. It just comes out better when you set the speed faster. So I set a 2-second interval. I do about an 8 or 9 or 10-second hyperlapse. And then I set the speed to at least 2.5 miles per hour. 3 miles per hour is kind of like the best that's worked for me. The other thing that I highly recommend is that you guys consider getting an ND filter. If you want to get into hyperlapse and you want to have that nice motion blur, we all love motion blur, right? That's what makes things cinematic. But it really is true. Like the human eye sees motion blur naturally. And so when we see something with a high shutter rate, like 1/2000, like that just doesn't look natural, and it makes us uncomfortable. It makes our brain uncomfortable. And so if you add a ND filter, like a big one, like an ND1000, not big, but like a strong ND filter, like an ND1000, then you can get that shutter speed all the way down to like 1/5 of a second. And then that's going to add a nice motion blur to your hyperlapse. It makes it look so much better. Great example here. Check out that train. This is using a Freewell ND1000 and a 1-second exposure. See how much that motion blur makes such a difference with your hyperlapse? I love it. So I use Freewell ND filters. There's a lot of different brands out there, but Freewell is what I recommend. I've been using them for almost 3 years, I think. It's crazy, it's been that long. But they came out with a whole bunch of new filters for the Mini 3 Pro. They got regular NDs, they got the NDs with the polarizers, they got that long exposure one, the ND1000, they got a UV, they got CPL. They have a whole ton of them. And so I'll put a link for their website down in the video description. You can check out what they got. But just get, if you want to do this, I would get an ND1000, and that helps you get that shutter speed way down and just makes it look so much more smooth. So that's just a couple of tips that I have for you. Like I said, it's still got a long way to go for the lateral hyperlapse, but overall I think this improvement did make it better for the Mini 3 Pro. So if you got anything of value out of this video, click on that thumbs up. I do appreciate that. Subscribe if you're not already. Also check me out on social media. I post a lot of extra content over there on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for watching. And as always, fly safe and fly smart.